We're going to be here all afternoon, so
No, I'm not.
not everybody. Sorry. Hopefully everybody. I hope you all stick around for 4 hours. I have to be here for 4 hours, so I will be. Look, so I am Chuck Simmons. So I'm the CEO of Interact, and we were selected through the GRF RFP committee to come into Leisure World to bring community-wide managed internet and television into the community. And so right now we have we have 5 mutuals that have currently signed contracts. We're working on the other mutuals. Purpose of our town halls that we're going to be conducting this week, next week, and into the future is so that everybody can see the current product that we're going to be bringing into Leisure World and open it up to discussion so that everybody has a chance to see what the product looks like and understand that this is really not different from your traditional cable programming that you would receive now. The distribution may be a little different in that we use the internet to deliver the content, but the overall use of the television product operates nearly identical to what you may have now, with just some advanced features that you may or may not want to use. So, so you're seeing the TV. I will let you know that we are a little bit challenged with the internet in the building. But even with that, we still have 2 TVs operating over the Wi-Fi sitting next to each other. One is an existing TV that we were able to get through the facilities here from GRF. And what you'll see is that we have this is the set-top box that we'll be providing for everybody. So simply, we have that plugged into the TV, and this is your cable set-top box. The TV over to the left is a very inexpensive TV we bought at Best Buy, and it has Amazon Fire TV built in. And so what we're demonstrating there is that that's a smart TV that'll work with our application. And then in addition, we're showing, and you can pick these up at Best Buy for, on sale, they're like $34.99. So they're pretty inexpensive. So this is an Amazon Fire Stick. And you'll see that that's actually connected to the Amazon Fire Stick right now. Again, we're having some internet challenges, so we may continue to have those.
What is an Amazon Fire Stick?
So an Amazon Fire Stick is a streaming stick that you plug into your TV. So very similar to like Roku or an Apple TV. So it's what you see right now. If you go to a Best Buy, you'll see these everywhere. In Best Buy.
And the service?
So this is if you want to, you can go purchase these, or we have our current set-top box, which is the black box we have right here. So this would be something that will be about 1/3 of the price of our set-top box. So it's pretty inexpensive. So please, if we can hold questions just a few more minutes, I'll get through my thing, and then what Mark will do is just handing out some brochures. We'll try to run in order so that we get everybody's questions answered, because it's not for me to sit here and make a big speech. It's for everybody to get their questions answered. So, so the first thing I want to point out, so we'll get past the TV for just a second. What we're attempting to do in bringing community-wide internet into the facility is that we want to provide blanket coverage for internet throughout the facility. So by doing that, we're installing wireless access points in approximately 570 buildings, assuming we get all the mutuals signed up. With that, you then have access to the internet for your own devices wherever you go. We'll also be working with GRF to provide that same coverage within the clubhouses as well. But depending on, again, how the contracts come in, and part of this is to make sure that we get everybody on board with what we're doing. The internet is a very complex thing, and we're not here to overcomplicate it. And you know, to that's why we want to have these town halls, so that we can answer any questions that you may have. We're attempting to simplify access to the internet, but all new, Mark, there's quite a few folks that are you're starting to experience more and more things that are connected to the internet. And as you do that, we're here to provide a managed internet platform that allows you to do that and have it operate better. You know, we're, like in this room, we're not getting more than 10 meg, which is a very limited amount of bandwidth for us to be displaying television. So if you see a hiccup a little bit, this isn't what your expectation would be. This is the current cable modem service that's being provided into the building. In addition to the internet, we're also bringing in voice, so that if you have your current phone number, we're able to port your phone number. Nothing operationally will change in what you currently have for voice, and the voice product is gonna come in at $10 a month. So it's going to be substantially cheaper than the other service. The whole purpose of coming in with what we call bulk services, bringing in internet access, bringing in voice service, bringing in bulk TV, is that the base service for TV, internet, and voice is coming in at around $79 a month. So if you add up all the services from the other providers, we've calculated anywhere from $50 to $100 per resident in additional fees that you currently have, even now enjoying bulk for current TV. So the goal in this is that over a 5-year period of time, we expect to save the community roughly $13 to $14 million over the next 5 years. In addition to that, if you take the $50 over that five-year term, we're going to save every resident in this room $3,000 over the next 60 months. So that's the bottom line on what we're going to be doing. Yep, no problem. Hey, Jackie. So with the internet and then phone, and then we start talking about television service. We do have the brochure, so if you don't have one, make sure you ask for Mark, but the channel lineup is listed. We are continuing to add channels to that list. So there's going to continue to be additional channels that are being added. But right now, I think there's the total channel count is 177 channels, not including your sports pack and any of the premium stations that you may have. And in addition, on the programming side, as a benefit through our relationship with Showtime, we're bringing Showtime is provided at no cost in the base package. So what that means is you're getting all 11 channels of Showtime, as well as all of their video on demand library within the application, and I'll give you guys a brief demonstration of that. Okay, so why don't we go to Q&A, and as we do that, I can start showcasing some of the feature sets on the TV, but I'd love to get it more interactive so that we can get right to the heart of the matter here. He was first in the back.
When do you plan on offering this service?
So as quickly as we can is the answer. We're looking to get a minimum of 12 contracts signed from 12 mutuals. We're at about half of that number right now. Our contract with the Roseman 9 should be done by Tuesday. They needed to have some additional review from their council. It had been originally approved. We don't think there's going to be any holdup on that. With current tally, we think we're already at 12. We're just waiting for the final signatures to come in. The implementation for us to start relies on getting that number first, and then we'll start rolling it out. With supply chain issues, there are some additional issues, but we're looking at approximately 90 days to get the infrastructure work done from the signing of the contract.
One more question. I heard that Superwire is done as of December 31st. What if you're not done yet? What do we do now?
Well, which is why we've been to 3 presidents' councils and we've been to 3 town halls. We've been saying all along we need to get the contracts executed. We can't begin work until we get the contracts done. And it's taking quite a bit of time, and there's been some back and forth. As you can imagine, negotiating with 16 mutuals, different attorneys, it's taking much longer than we anticipated. But the goal for us is to get this done. It's unlikely we're going to be done by December 31st. As we first started in this, we had the approval back in May through the RFP, and then we started the contract. We were hopeful that we would be through this by the end of July, and here we are into the middle of October, or almost the middle of October now. So unfortunately, just so you guys know, we've ordered well over $1 million in equipment just in anticipation of getting the contract so that we can make the deadline. Had I have not done that, we would be looking at second quarter, maybe third, just to get the equipment necessary due to supply chain issues. So the good news is we're going to have the equipment. The bad news is it's going to take at least 90 days to implement that, which puts us into probably February. But to that point, even though the Superwire contract is up, nobody is saying that Spectrum is going to discontinue your service. They're just going to likely increase your price.
But Spectrum said that if you don't sign up with them by then, you're done.
I can't, look,
I'm sorry?
as far as what's going on with Spectrum, again, I have no control over what they do. All I can tell you is that the reason we're here is so that we can answer questions and make sure that there's that you guys go back to your presidents of each respective mutual so that we can make sure that we get everything buttoned up on our contract. We'll enact it as quickly as we can, but we can only move so fast. I mean, this is a pretty large install.
Just a follow-up comment that was just made. What I understand is Superwire, it just provided a discount. So when Superwire stopped, we would be, like you said, dealing directly with Spectrum, and there's theoretically was going to, raise it up back to the market price. But to be competitive, knowing you guys are coming in, Spectrum, I have heard, has lowered their prices to be competitive. So it's hard to say. Yeah.
Well, I can't speak to what Spectrum is or isn't going to do. Can we let's keep it to the questions, and that way we can all hear, because everybody needs to be able to hear the answers. Yes, sir.
For the basic package, the three, was it 29? $28.99.
$29.
Do you get any sports, like for instance, Pac-12, ESPN?
You'll see that there's 24 sports channels under the sports package, so you would have to add that to get the Pac-12. Yeah. Mark, can we keep moving down this way? Because there's some folks over here that they were first. We'll get right to you next.
Hi.
Yes, sir.
You said you have several mutuals already signed up. What mutuals are those?
I'll leave that to Mark. Mark has the number. I don't want to get it wrong.
So we currently have 5, 7, 11, 12, and 17 signed. So those 5 mutuals have signed contracts.
Yeah. Many of the Roseman 9 have indicated they would sign. They just want to make sure they have legal approval, which we should have by Tuesday. Sorry, Nick, do you want to? The Roseman 9 are the 9 mutuals represented by Mr. Roseman, who's their counsel. He represents those 9 mutuals, is my understanding. Yep.
Hi everyone, I'm Jackie Dunnigan. I live in Mutual 15. The Roseman 9 are those 9 mutuals that are represented by Steve Roseman and his firm. They are mutuals 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, and 15. So a number of them, in addition to those that have already signed, have board approval for Interact Solutions to enter the buildings. They're just having the absolute last additions, shall we say, of the contract approved by their attorney. But the boards have already approved the entry. So those are the Roseman 9.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
First question is, you didn't mention mutual aid, but we were told in a text to us that we have signed up. I'm talking about mutual aid.
They're part of Roseman. They're part of
They're,
Roseman.
you're part of the Roseman 9. So that may very well be true, they're just waiting on the final legal approval.
So my question is this, why can't you get started on those mutuals that have already signed up?
We need to have a minimum of 12 in order to have any confidence we're going to meet the minimum bulk requirements for, because we need to get to several residents to take the cable package, and the number is 4,626 residents. So when we do bulk programming, the community decides as a community that they're going to sign up for bulk programming because the programmers know they're going to get guaranteed commitments from those residents. They offer discounts. It's typically between 40 to 50% on the programming, and that's how we're able to provide the programming costs at $28.99. If you're to go to any other streaming service like DirecTV, Stream, YouTube Live, or Sling TV, those packages start at like $80-some. So just for TV, we're less than that with internet and television. So that's the rationale.
You took my microscope before me. Could ask my next question.
Yes, sir.
I am very dependent on Wi-Fi.
Yes.
And I think most of the people here are also. What can you guarantee? And we've had with Spectrum every once in a while an interruption.
Yep.
How are you going to avoid that? Because these interruptions can be disastrous.
So that's actually a great point. And one of the things we've done to minimize downtime is that we're actually buying connectivity, internet, from both Frontier and Spectrum. And so when we buy from both providers, we have what's called diversity. And so diversity means we go to LA with Frontier, we go to San Diego with Spectrum. So they're different pathways, so we ensure we have 2 pathways into the community for internet. And when we do that, it's not necessarily, again, I don't want to get too technical, but we take both of those circuits and we allow them to be used by all of the residents, and that's how we ensure higher uptime. And all I can tell you is that based on what you didn't have in your previous agreement with either Frontier or Spectrum, we are providing a service level agreement and an uptime guarantee. If we don't meet it, we have to return money. So that's part of the SLA.
Have you signed those contracts with those people?
That is in the contracts that we have the 5 signed by the current mutuals, and we're hopeful that we'll have 12
No, I'm
very
talking
soon.
about the service.
I've actually signed the contract to bring it in. It's a non-binding agreement with both, but we're doing that through Lumen. So if you've heard of CenturyLink, they're a vendor that works with both of those. So Lumen is who we use nationwide. CenturyLink is one of the largest providers of internet in the country. Lumen provides connectivity here locally to the Department of Defense. So both the weapons facility here and on the other side are all Lumen customers. So one of the things where we're it's paramount for us. We are a local area network provider. We come in as a concierge and make sure that we layer in things like community-wide managed internet. We buy bulk internet from both providers, so if one goes down, you still have internet. So that's one of the features we bring that makes sure that we have better internet for the community. This gentleman over here had a question, Mark.
The question that I have is, with the contracts that are being signed, is there any exclusivity that would eliminate competition?
No.
There's no exclusivity. Good.
You will not find the word exclusive in the contract. So we're not keeping you from going out and getting services from another provider. What we're hoping is that you'll sign up, and we took that exclusivity out with the belief that we're going to do a better job than the other guys, and if we do that and we provide a better product for a better price, that you're going to go with us over the competition. So anybody that has Spectrum currently, anybody that has Frontier right now, you're not obligated to move over to us. So, he had a question.
That was my question. I have Spectrum now. I'm happy with Spectrum. I have a good price for Spectrum. My mutual has already signed up with you. That does not mean that I have to go with that.
It does not.
Okay.
Not that we wouldn't want you to give us a shot,
I understand.
but yes. That's my salesman hat. I've been told to take it off, but I have a hard time with that. So, there was, oh, sorry. Keep the mic away.
Right now, I have Spectrum for my TV and internet. Also have it for my phone. Does this mean we go with you that we still have to find a phone company, AT&T or whatever?
You will be able to have phone with us or keep your current phone service.
How much will be your phone?
Our phone service starts at $10. I mean, it's $10 a month.
$10 a month.
Yes.
Are we talking about landline?
Landline.
We're talking about landline. We're not
Not
talking.
cell phone.
We're not bringing in cellular. No, we're not in the cellular business. We are in this. We are in the assisting you in the building. Make sure your cell phone, when you don't have good cell coverage, that you can be able to offload through the internet that we provide, so that your phone works in your building. And so we can talk more about that as well. But we are very much wanting to provide connectivity for any device that you have that may need the internet.
So for the phone, is it an internet-based application providing the phone?
It is a voice over IP, yes. So it is an IP-based phone solution.
Because I'm wondering how that's going to work for people that have the buttons, you know, the medical alert buttons, because I know my mother's medical alert company, when I call them, they keep telling me not to give up her hardwired landline.
Mm-hmm.
They do not want her to give that up. And I'm just not sure for the reasoning behind it, but they're very specific about it.
Yeah, we'll let Mark answer that one.
So the line you're getting is a hardwire line. So if you currently have a jack in your unit, that jack will be how you receive it. What we're bringing in, the line comes in over a network, over a voice over IP type service. But that's only between us and the provider. When we bring it onto the premise, we're converting it back to that analog line and putting it into your unit if you purchase a service. So it complies with the MedAlert and those type of services today.
So if there's a power failure, it'll continue to work?
Correct. The equipment that we're using is the same equipment that Verizon uses to deliver fiber to the home. So it's the same exact equipment that they use with all the battery backup and redundancy that they have.
I think you had a question over there in the white.
Two quick questions. How many devices can you use with your service?
So let me clarify that. You're asking how many devices can you connect to the internet, or how many devices can you connect for TV?
What's the difference?
Both.
Both.
Okay, so.
So we can use how many computers and how many?
Yep, so on the internet, there's no limit to the number of devices. I mean, we have users because we focus in what we call multi-tenant and deploying services in apartment buildings, hospitals, that type of facility, hotels. So in that regard, we have residents at apartment units that'll have 20 or 30 devices connected. There's no limitation on the number of devices, and the number of access points we put in the building, they can connect to hundreds of devices. I think the limit's like 256 devices per access point. So when you have 4 or 5 of those access points, you're going to have well over 1,000 devices per building that can be connected. We don't anticipate that happening, and if it did, we'd add more devices so that there'd be more availability. It's just it's very unlikely that would happen. When I said the number of TV licenses, because you may have 2 TVs in your home, but you may also have an iPad and an iPhone, let's say, or an Android phone. So if I go to my iPhone, you can see I have the TV service here. So if you have concurrently, you can have 5 TVs operating through our application. So you would download our application onto your phone, onto your iPad. You'll see on that Insignia TV, we've downloaded it, or we'll provide the set-top box here. And, so because we have to limit the number of, for the programmers, we have to limit the number of streaming devices that you can have access to. So that's the limitation there.
So, my second last question is, so you can get just internet only, but that wouldn't have anything to do with your television, that's just for your cell phone and your...
Or vice versa. Or vice versa.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Sure. Yeah. So Jackie reminded me, you can have, if you have, let's say you have 7 TVs. I don't know. Actually, I think we had in one of our town halls, we had somebody that did have 7 TVs. So, God bless her. I don't have that many TVs in my house. But you can have 7 TVs connected. Just we only can have 5 concurrently running at the same time. So the limit, the license limit is 5 operating at the same time. So if you're in the living room watching, but then you go to the bedroom, then that you could have both of those operating, and your iPhone and your iPad. But if you have more than that in TVs, you're not going to limit it either. So, okay.
Work backwards.
Mark's going to get his exercise today.
I don't know, can you answer questions related to the contract?
I think so. I haven't
Are the
looked at it with
mutuals
it.
going to get any money back from you?
Well, they're going to get rich. No, I'm joking. Absolutely not. That was one of the things that was very clear in the RFP. As it's related right now, the prior vendor, my understanding is that there was monies going back to GRF, and that in the RFP process, it was very, it was stressed to me that was not, this was for the sole purpose of providing the best price point we could to the mutuals, or to the mutual's residents, not to the mutual.
Okay, then another contractual question is there any kind of set interest rate, or in other words, I'm not saying it right, but next year, the following year, we've got high rates of inflation right now.
Yep.
Do you see you having to take a 10% jump?
Well, one of the benefits of bulk agreements is that we've negotiated with the programmers and we have set pricing with the programmers. So for the 5-year contract, there are no price increases for the first 3 years. Our prices have been locked by our programmers, and therefore we passed along that to you. So once the 3rd year is up, then price increases are based on consumer price index, not to exceed 3%. So 3% on $28.99 would be, adding approximately 75 cents. So, you'd be still under $30, and I think the lowest competitive price after we were awarded the RFP was around $35. So, other questions?
Let me work my way back across.
Yep.
Yeah, so what's the procedure? We go with you first and set it up, or do we cancel first with Spectrum? And do we get help with setting this up, or we do it all ourselves?
So great question. So the way it works is you would sign up. We would then schedule a time based on when the building had been, the internet's available. You can auto install if you'd like, because that's we can allow you to go to our website. We're not saying, we get that that might, for some, that may not be something they want to try. But if you want to, we have contracted with Best Buy Business through the Geek Squad. So understand that Geek Squad is separate from Best Buy Business. Best Buy Business has 4,500 employees. That division does just under $1 billion a year by itself. And we've been utilizing them in hospitality to install televisions for many years. For the last 10 years, I've been working with those guys. So they're a great group of people, and they come in. We have their head of product, management, or I forget what Steve's title is working very closely with Mark on the project management. We'll coordinate for a Best Buy business. I'd say Geek Squad because everybody knows what Geek Squad is. but we'll be contracting with a Best Buy technician. They will come in and spend 50 minutes. We've contracted for 55 minutes per resident, but they'll be there as long as needed to convert all of the devices, do all of the setup, take all of the equipment back, and then we'll return it to the respective vendor.
Oh, okay.
So that's an added touch point. That's kind of part of that concierge service we provide.
So we wait to cancel until we have an appointment with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, we'll coordinate all of that and provide some communication out to everybody, but generally speaking, I think that's accurate.
Okay. All right, great, thank you.
Yeah. I think there, and then we'll move back over and just keep your hands, and Mark will work over as we go.
So what will my monthly cost be, and how will it differ from what I'm paying now?
So the monthly, it depends on the services you sign up for. If you only want TV, it's $28.99 a month. If you want, you add the internet to that, that adds roughly $38 a month. If you add voice, you add another $10. So roughly, I think we're at, what, $68 with, well, yeah, just under $70. And if we add voice, we're at like we're at $78. Yeah. So one more question for you, sir.
Yeah. Help me to understand this. My question is very similar to what that lady asked. The service that I'm getting out from Spectrum, I get their standard package, the cables with the ESPN and all that. I get on demand. I get internet. And this isn't Spectrum, but I also get Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
So to get all those services, to duplicate that with your system, what will it cost me?
So not including Netflix, because so our box, you would get Netflix through your own subscription with Netflix.
Okay, but that's $14.
Yeah, so you would add that to, and you have voice. So do you have voice as well? Phones? Your voice? Sorry, phone line. Landline.
No, I don't have a landline.
Okay, so then you're at
I don't have a phone.
$68, 67 and change. So let's say $68.
And the regular cable comes how into my
It comes through the internet. So it's streaming. So if you see this box here, if you see this box right here, there's no cable to it. So it's operating over the Wi-Fi. So your TV comes in via the Wi-Fi that we install in the building.
So when the guy comes to install everything and train me and everything, that'll all be operational?
Yes. Yeah. The internet will be in place.
And it'll cost me, what did you say?
$68 a month.
Total. Plus Netflix.
Plus Netflix, yes. Yes.
I don't live in a mutual that you've listed that has signed up for it. What happens then? Say, I live in Mutual 4, that was not amongst those that were listed. Does that impede signing up for you guys?
It does. It does. The mutuals, so there's a term called right of entry. And so we have to get a contract with each mutual in order to have right of entry into that mutual. Without that contract, we're not allowed to come in. So that's why we're trying to get this contract signed. And so we've...
Nice.
It's being used, okay. So that got me off. Ouch. So what we'd urge you to do is go back to your mutual board and presidents, and there's no risk in signing this. And that's what we've been trying to get, this is all about choice. So, we had originally, when we did the RFP, it was about a bulk contract, which would have had exclusive right of entry. And that was made very clear that wasn't, the mutuals weren't going to go for that. So we went back and decided to go ahead and honor what we had done without having that exclusivity, because we believe we're the better choice. We hope you guys find that out for yourself. Sure.
Yeah, one of the reasons we've been having these town halls, this is the fourth one, and I'm sorry for the lack of advertisement, but they decided, the GRF board decided that they wouldn't allow us to put any kind of announcement into the paper or up on the billboard, etc. I don't know why. I'm pleased with all of you being here. Thank you so much. But the purpose of these is to introduce the product to you, the shareholder. And if it's something that you are interested in and you would like to see implemented in your mutual, we urge you to go to the board to tell them that this is something that you want. It's all about choice. It's just like you can go out and find your own contractor. We're not prohibiting anybody else from not offering you a subscription service of some sort or another, but you should be allowed the choice. Spectrum and Frontier will still be here. No one is getting kicked out. You can still have them. It's just we would like to expand your options. And the whole purpose of introducing all of this to you, the shareholders, myself included, I live in a mutual that has not approved this, and I am heartbroken. I stand to save $150 a month. That's a substantial amount of money. And I think it's horrible that they are maybe possibly going to eliminate that possibility of an option for me to save that money. I think that it's their fiduciary job to give you the option to save the money. You know, we're not eliminating anybody else, we're just giving you a different choice. So I urge, if you're interested, I urge you all to speak to your boards and tell them that you want this option to be available to them.
Who do you speak to? You speak to the president of the board? Or?
There's nothing wrong with starting at the top.
Depending on what?
Starting at the top. Any of the board members, but the president certainly is the one that can be the most influential. I was president of Mutual 15 for 7 years. I know exactly how this works. I can't help. Do you live in 15?
Yeah.
Oh, but I'm not on the board anymore.
Okay.
I resigned. You need to speak to Bruce Bowles.
Thank you. Who's next?
I'm Sue Broder. I'm one of the presidents that gets all the phone calls and things. We have a meeting called President's Council. It was this past Thursday, and all the presidents were there. Our president of President's Council wanted to know kind of where we are with this. So I can tell you the ones that have not maybe signed, but their boards have approved for Interact to come in. And that is Mutual 5, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 14, and 17. Now, I didn't call your mutual. They have either decided that they're not going to allow them in here for some unknown reason, or they really won't share. A lot of them said it was decided at executive session what we're going to do, and they wouldn't share with the rest of us. So I have no idea where your mutual's at. But if you want this service, I would suggest that Monday morning you get on the phone with someone on your board and tell them you want the board to consider this. It's costing the mutual absolutely nothing. We had some things that we weren't real happy with the mutual accepting the responsibility for, and Chuck's company has negotiated the contract. There's no liability to the mutual whatsoever. We just have to give them permission to come into our buildings, and that's what the contract is doing. And then you'll be billed through them, and your contract with them will be up to each person. So I urge you, if you're not one of the ones who've agreed to sign, if you want this, now's the time to do it while the guys are coming in here all in a big fast installation. So thank you.
Okay. We can go there and then go back. That's all good.
Hi, I'm from Mutual 7 also, and every one of our board members is here. Okay, and we have signed the thing. I get between 3 and 5 phone calls a day saying, "What should I do? How does it compare the old with the new?" I make an appointment and I go talk to these people. Okay, and I show them my Spectrum bill, which is $148. With these guys, for the same service, it's $78. Okay, and that's to me, that's a no-brainer. Okay, and now you're eliminating all the wires that are coming in. Half the wires are stapled. Okay. Half the wires are stapled down along your wall. Okay. That's because Spectrum does it the cheapest way, unless you tell them you want it through the walls. Okay, and that's been like that for the last 20 years, okay? That they'll just staple it along the wall. Okay? So there's no wires at all with this new system. Now, I have a couple of questions for Chuck,
Please.
Personally, okay?
Yes.
My wife gets the TV guide every 2 weeks, and she programs like 100 programs on it. And we watch everything without commercials, so does you have a limit on the number of?
No, there isn't a number, there isn't a limit. There is 100 hours on DVR, but then as you watch things, it'll replace them. But as far as what you can record, there's no limit to doing that.
Okay, now, I also have a router, and I also have a modem, which I understand you do not need anymore.
Those go away.
That goes away, okay. So I'm paying a monthly charge for one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, we've calculated that the electrical consumption of just the router, the modem, and the set-top box, one set-top box, not two, which most people have two set-top boxes, is roughly $9 a month. So just take that into consideration on your electrical bill when you remove that cost. So I think we've calculated the savings is around $3.2 million to the community.
Okay, now also, there was some question about getting the Dodger station. That's one of the questions that people are asking me in one of your town halls. You said that you were negotiating with something to get that.
Yeah, so that's Spectrum Sportsnet. And they do license it. It's just, luckily we have a great relationship through my chief content officer. She worked with the current head of Spectrum Sportsnet, so I know those discussions are going on, but it's long and protracted, and all I can say is I can't guarantee it at this point. We are working very hard on getting it, but when Spectrum spent $8 billion, and that's with a B, to get exclusive for LA within what's called a designated market area, they did that so Dodgers fans would keep Spectrum, and that's one of the reasons why we've said if you still have Spectrum, you can keep Spectrum, so that you can still get your Dodgers. Now, the other thing I will tell you is that, and that this may not always be the case, I hope it is, but when the Dodgers are winning, you still will get the games that are broadcast on ESPN and broadcast nationally. So it's not like you don't get all the Dodgers games. You're just not going to get every game that's broadcast at home. And of course, if they're away, there's still the ability to get those games. So that's not a great answer. I get it. We're working on it, just like we're working on Bally's as well for the Angels. And Bally's should be we're confident we're going to get Bally's. So Bally Sports, and outside of that, we have 24 that we already have. So like Pac-12, which was mentioned, we currently have Pac-12 and others. So if you have DirecTV, you don't get Pac-12. They don't have it. I mean, so not everybody has everything. Everybody thinks that everybody has everything, and I don't know if some folks have Dish, but just as recently as yesterday, Dish lost ESPN for a period of time. So because they negotiate so hard. So. It's a complicated thing, but we are working very hard to get the Dodgers. We know how important it is, Dodgers, Lakers, Angels, for a community here in the center of all that. Did I answer your question? Okay, good. Next one in the back, and then.
I got it. Right now you have NBC up. If you turn on CBS or Fox, I'm not sure which one, the UCLA game is on. Just thought I'd tell you.
Well,
and then I have.
I don't have these. This is our demonstration. They're
Right.
not installed, so I'll absolutely see if we can find. Well, there's some football right there. But let me just go to the guide. So we had NASCAR. We have Utah at UCLA. There you go.
That's it. And then I wanted the gentleman in the other shirt that you were talking to about the pricing, the box, that if you provide the box, there's a cost for that, right? And it's minimal, I know, but that you gotta make sure that.
So my apologies. That does not.
Let me finish.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but if you go to Best Buy, you buy a Fire Stick, and then you don't need that box.
That's correct.
Correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I just wanted that
Or you go.
clarified.
I think that Insignia 50-inch TV there is like $330 at Best Buy, and that has Amazon Fire Stick built in. So
You should be clear on that. Thank you.
well, so some of the folks that we've been working with on our board have tried to convince me that I should provide at least one free set-top box to every resident. Who's all in favor of that? Well, all I can say is if we get all 16 mutuals, I'll probably do it. So, you know, because these things are $100 a box. That's $500,000 out of my pocket, but that's the commitment we'd be willing to make to the community.
No problem.
No problem.
Hi,
So,
Chuck. This is my 4th town hall. I have some questions. Has the power issue in each building been resolved?
The power issue is one where I wish I could give you an absolute on the power issue.
So no.
So no is the answer. But let me give you the, well, I'll just say no. How's that?
Okay. Next question. Internet services in the clubhouses. Will Interact Solution be providing that, or will Golden Rain Foundation be providing that?
So there's two answers there. The first one is the Golden Rain Foundation has said they will continue to provide internet access for free in the clubhouses. And we have offered to provide internet in the Golden Rain clubhouses. The question is whether or not that'll be allowed. And we don't have consensus from GRF on that yet.
Okay. Next question. I keep getting these things in the mail about the Affordable Connectivity Program.
Yeah.
Okay. Will that be available through Interact Solutions?
We are in the process of doing our due diligence on becoming part of that. That's a bit of a loaded question right now. I'll try to get back to you guys on that one.
Not a problem. And then last question. You have a business license in the city of Seal Beach. GRF can be a real pain in the posterior.
It's funny you said that. That is all underway right now. So I mean, both the Department of Revenue and getting everything up, because this will be our first implementation in California. But outside of that, I can tell you, you can check us out. We're alive and well and a real company. So, but in California, there are steps, business licenses, Seal Beach. There's LA County. There's a number of items. But I can assure you, we'll cover all of those. One other thing I should point out as it relates to that, though, is because we're not a carrier, we're not what's called a cable company. So we're not what's called an MVPD, and again, forget about the acronyms. It means we're just not a private cable operator. Because we're not a private cable operator, we're not forced to pay a franchise fee to a city, for example. So there are additional taxes that are levied because of that we're not subject to because we're not a regulated utility. Okay, so that'll actually, in addition, save you some money on the tax bill. Internet is not taxable, period. The only tax you'll see from us is what's required by the state of California and whatever local that may be, but it's based on a sales tax, not a franchise fee. Go ahead.
Did I hear you say that, since I use DVR, that I need to pay $100 for the DVR box?
Oh, no, well, the set-top box is $100, but there is no additional cost for DVR.
Okay.
So DVR is all done in the cloud. The boxes require, so you can have DVR with the smart TV, with the Amazon Fire Stick. All of those support it because you don't have to have a separate DVR box.
Okay.
That goes away.
Another question is, let's say I do like your pricing, and if I want to sign up, do I have a limit? Like, okay, you say in 3 years price might go up, but let's say that I signed up and I said, great, after a year and a half, I don't like it. Will I be penalized, saying, hey, we got all this done for you, we need to penalize me?
We're not a big, multi-billion dollar corporation. So the reality is if you don't like our service, we need to make some changes. First. Number two, if you don't like our service, you cancel our service.
Right, is there gonna be a penalty that I have to pay?
No.
No, I have to just have it rewired, in other words.
Well, there's no rewiring.
I mean, for another company.
You would have to, if there's an installation fee to bring another service in, yeah, you would have to, that would be subject to them, not us.
Just in case I won't get my wires removed.
That's okay.
I pay, I think it's $30-some to the GRF for Spectrum, and I pay another bill direct from Spectrum. Are we gonna get one bill, or will there still be something from the GRF?
You will, through our website, you will get charged. You can enter in your credit card, debit card, you can do ACH, you can do Google Pay. If you have an Apple phone, you can pay with Apple Pay. So however you want to pay, but the bill is all integrated into one central billing. So no, there's no GRF billing. That's all gone. Everything's done. Sorry, Mark. The lady in red right here in front of me. Oh, I know, but she's been waving for a while. So.
Okay, I have a number of questions.
Okay, let me just clarify. So the GRF, so the other part of this is that $30 a month bill to GRF goes away. So what you're currently paying goes away. So, but the counter to that is what you're going to be charged from Spectrum will go up substantially. So they may give you a discount for the next 12 months, the next 24 months, but then likely if you go check out their website and see what their pricing is, what they told GRF is that the price would be $80 a month. So conversely, ours is $28.99. So anyway, I just wanted to clarify that for Jackie. And your questions, please.
Okay. Well, I have Apple TV Plus, and I don't know if my box is going to be available. I was told that that could be used as instead of this box you're selling or something like that. I have the box.
Yeah, so it depends on the generation of the box. If it's one of the newer boxes, then yes, it will work.
I've had it for about 2 years, I think.
Then
like
it will work.
Okay, well, I hope so. Okay, I've never had a DVR, so a DVR is included with all this?
We have what's called cloud-based DVR. So anything that you record is recorded in the cloud.
Okay, well, I obviously I haven't recorded anything, so I'll be shown how to use this. This will be included, is what I'm saying?
That's one of the things we'll have on the checklist for the Best Buy representative that'll be turning you over.
Okay, so is equipment going to be put into separate apartments or just into the building?
So the only, right now, most of the buildings have attics. And so because of the construction material of the buildings, we know that we can place access points in the attics, and we'll place those. So if you have an average building that's 12 units, there's 4 access points that are layered so that we provide blanket coverage to the entire building. If for whatever reason someone needs a wired connection, then we either use the existing wire and bring what's called an Ethernet bridge, so we can do that as well. There is an additional charge for that. Shouldn't be necessary for most people, but somebody may want that. So we can support that as well, but there shouldn't be, with the exception of Mutual 15, assuming they sign, we would need to use that Ethernet bridge that I just mentioned and the existing wiring to then use the existing coax in those buildings where there aren't attics, where we could still supply internet and then also locate the access points. In that case, there would be some equipment that would go into each unit.
The gentleman asked about something about power. What's that all about? That you're having trouble with something with power?
Oh, so the power is right now every resident within Leisure World that has Spectrum or Frontier, you pay the electricity for your router, for your access point, for your set-top box. I mentioned that's about $9 a month per resident. When we install the access points in the attic, we have some equipment we have to install on the side of the building. and that side of the building requires power. So we either have to harvest power from a resident, because 370 of the buildings don't have house power. So right now, we're investigating, how we would be able to either provide another meter or to be able to do that. And if we did use one resident, then we would compensate them for the electricity otherwise. But that needs to be, we have a contractor that will be coming out for 2 weeks to do an extensive review of the facility, along with how we're going to do the project plan with Best Buy Business. That work doesn't typically start until you have a commitment from the community to do that. It's tens of thousands of dollars for us to bring the team in to do the survey and then figure that out. So that's why when I said no, it is a no, but there's 170 buildings that have house power.
Okay, well, since I hadn't heard of it before, I was just wondering what it was about.
Yeah.
Okay, my biggest concern is customer service.
Yes.
Okay, because Spectrum would send people out to help us whenever something went wrong, and things go wrong. So once the Geek Squad comes and sets us up, when something goes wrong, what happens?
So one of the nice things about newer technology is that, most of these Spectrum set-top boxes are from a generation that's 20 years old. So the ability to remote manage, to diagnose anything is not there. And the first thing they'll tell you is unplug everything and then plug everything back in. Rarely will we ever tell you to do that, because we'll know when something quits communicating. So this little box right here, we have the ability to even populate credentials automatically when you sign up, so that you don't even have to do that. So you plug it in and it just works out of the box. But if that device quits communicating, we get alerts. So we know, and then we can remotely reset the box before you even know that the product isn't working. And so
even with the Apple TV?
So that's what we call an unmanaged device.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're bringing in an unmanaged device, then the support on that is typically on you, but Geek Squad can come and help on that as well. But that, again, when it's your device, Spectrum isn't going to come out and support your Apple TV box, typically. Or if they do, they're going to charge you for it, right? So we're not different in that capacity, but I will tell you, we can do some remote management on that device, because we can tell you if it's on the network and it's communicating, right? And then we can go through procedures to help you walk through. We know how to set up those devices, and we do offer 24/7, 365 support.
Okay, so if we call the Geek Squad, we don't pay them, but only if we have to call them in do we pay them.
So we call and dispatch Geek Squad, so you call us.
Okay.
And then as far as on the initial installation, and then if we need to bring somebody out, then we will call and dispatch them. And if it's something that is on us that doesn't work, you don't pay, we pay.
Okay, but I'm saying, if it's just over the phone, something that you can help us, then we don't pay if it's over the phone?
No, never.
Okay.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, I can hear you and I'll repeat the
I
question.
wanted to find out where your infrastructure is. Do you have like a building, or like what city are you out of, or,
So our company is very virtual. We started 3 years ago, so I will tell you, we have offices all over the country. Half of those are people's homes. So when we started the company, we do have an office in South Dakota, which is where we have accounting, legal, and all of that. The infrastructure for what we're doing on Leisure World will be here in Leisure World. So there will be, and it's, even to me, this is incredible. It's less than a rack of equipment. There's probably half a dozen servers we'll need to accommodate what we do. But everything else, our data centers, where all this happens, is in Sacramento, Atlanta, and then we're in our main network operations center is out of Pittock, Oregon.
because I called this number that was on our brochures, the 88988.
And they're out of Florida.
Well, whoever answered, he couldn't answer any of my questions
Oh,
at
okay.
all. And he said he would have somebody call back, and that was like 2 days ago. And so I'm not real thrilled with the customer service when
Sure.
I have a list of questions and he had no idea.
That's the first I've heard of that. All I can tell you is that when we onboard, so we still don't have a contract to onboard Leisure World, so we don't go through the onboarding of the call center for this specific community until we've actually started lighting it up. So specifically to those questions, it's only to take name and information and then walk you through doing the setup right now. So that'll become more extensive as we start going live. And I can tell you that that's underway right now.
Okay, because I wanted to know, it's month to month then? It's not, we don't have to sign a year contract?
No.
Repeat the question.
No, I'm sorry, so there's, the question was that the contract term is a year contract, no, it's month to month. So,
So it's month to month, even though it's locked in for
so the contract with the mutuals is to give us right of entry for 5 years.
Oh.
But the residents, it's whatever they decide to have. Go, yes?
I live in Mutual 17, and it's a condo, so if I decide to go ahead and sign up, but if everybody else doesn't, I don't know if our condo has an attic. I know we have a roof.
So I apologize, 15 and then 17, which is the condos, there will be some equipment in the units, and we'll be using the existing wiring
Okay.
to drive the signal. So we won't have to go into every unit, but as people sign up, we'll be putting in what's called an Ethernet bridge and an access point. And then, of course, they'll have the corresponding set-top box.
So the more people that sign up, the better for you and for all of us? Is that
Yes.
what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so my question is also, do you have to have a certain number of people signing up here in Leisure World in order for it to be?
We have so for us to get bulk programming, we had to commit to a number, and that number was 70% of the community, of all the mutuals. So that number is 4,626. We are going to honor the price in the brochures that you have for the first 6 months, so until this summer, depending on when we officially go live, there's a 6-month ramp up. And then if for whatever reason we don't hit that 4,626, that number will then go up gradually, but there is a cap so that it will never exceed $80. So if we don't get everybody to sign up, what ends up happening is that every quarter, the price will be adjusted based on the number of people that we have. The internet will not, there's no commitment on the internet, that price is set. But on the TV, if again, we need to have a commitment within the community in order to get bulk pricing. That's the only way we can get that. And that's why we want to have a commitment from all the mutuals, so that we can allow every mutual and residents within those mutuals to be able to obtain that discounted programming price. Yeah, next.
What is the deadline for this commitment, the 4,600?
There is no deadline per se. We will honor the current price as we ramp up to the 4626. So that's 6 months upon our official go live date. And then from that date, at the 6-month ramp up, and then if we don't hit that number, then we adjust the price point based on the number of residents we have signed up. And we've gone through that. We literally, before we get to $80, we would literally have to have, there's 4,100 folks that are on the bulk program deal right now. And so we think that we're going to at least hit that number, if not higher. But even if we don't hit that number, and let's say we hit 4,000 versus 4,600, the price only goes up, let's say, $1 or $2. So, so if we don't hit 10% of that number, the price is going to go up to $32 a month. So the goal, and this is why we're doing this, is that the strength of the community as a whole, with the numbers you have, is if everybody gets on board on the TV price point, or on the TV product, then everybody enjoys a highly reduced price. If you don't, then what happens is it becomes a per subscriber, and that's what the cable company and Frontier would love to do, because then you're back paying $80+ for television versus $30 for television. Thus the $50 delta that we've been talking about. So there is no, you have full choice, but if we don't get a majority of the folks to sign up, then unfortunately that price can't maintain at $28.99. So that's the problem. So yes, go ahead, sir.
I would suggest everybody in this room
has a phone number on here to sign up, okay? You're not signing a commitment to take the service. You are signing up to get your name on the list, okay? And I would urge everybody to do that, whether you decide to go with it or not, okay? But at least your name is on their list to contact you for the service.
Yeah, so the sign up, if you go to our website right now, to interactsolutions.net, it'll automatically take you to the Leisure World, what we call the FAQ, or the frequently asked questions. Within there, you can go in and RSVP. So when you RSVP, you're not signing up, but we currently have over 1,000 people that have RSVP'd right now. So we know that there's been significant demand for what we're doing. Yes?
My question to you, should I decide not to sign up now, can I sign up at a later date?
As long as a mutual has signed, you can sign whenever you'd like within the term of our contract.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'd just like to point something out, because I'm not an internet or techie person, but if all you are interested in is the internet accessibility at the reduced price of $37, unless your mutual has allowed them to come in and put in their equipment, you won't be able to take advantage of that either. So you may say, I don't need the bulk TV, but I want their internet capability. You will not be able to take advantage of that unless your mutual board has approved the access to the building.
I wanted to ask you about, can you speak to security for the internet and for the TV systems?
I'm losing my battery.
Do you want me to take that, Chuck?
Yes.
So the security is handled for internet. Every access, you have your own personal access code that you put on your devices. So you will have your own SSID as you would right now. If you have your own access point, you assign your own ID that you see that you connect to. Here, you'll get your own password. So everybody shares the same SSID, so we broadcast it throughout the building. But every individual resident that signs up gets their own password that goes into that. And that password, when they put it in, when you would put it in, assigns you to a private network. So nobody else that doesn't have that password will see your traffic. So the internet, even though it's blanketed throughout the building, you are private in your own network with that ID code. It's encrypted based on that ID code, and only you have it.
Anywhere on property, actually.
Well, anywhere we're providing service.
Anywhere where we have internet access.
And so the question was, do we use two-factor or multi-factor authentication? No, it's just a single password to get on the internet. But once you're on the internet, then any site you access that has, like your bank, that would require a texting of a number, all that is just part of the internet logging in. To get onto your own private network is just the one password. And should you think that that's been compromised, you can call us or get a hold of our support and we can change that for you. So that is changeable should you feel it's been compromised.
So Mark, when we set up the account though, we do use two-factor authentication. So what I mean by that is when you set up the account, you have to authenticate via email so we know who you are. So we make sure that you're legit and you're here. Plus, we will automatically know if you're on the network because you're on our network. So there's literally a firewall to getting out of Leisure World that we maintain in addition to everything else we do. So having that, so if you go to a Starbucks, everybody says don't open up your banking app at a Starbucks because it's wide open network, and they have to do that. Otherwise, they'd have to authenticate you. We go through that process of authenticating you, and once you've been authenticated, that passphrase, there's full separation on that private network between all residents, even though you're using the same network. So.
I have a question about, do we have to have the internet that you have to get the TV, or can we use our own internet?
You will be using the internet to get TV, but you won't be paying for it. You pay for it via the TV. So TV standalone, but again, one of the other reasons why we have to install the internet in all the buildings is so that if you want just TV, you can access the internet we provide in order to get television.
Okay, so we don't have to have, our own internet doesn't have to have a certain strength to
So,
get your.
well, we're going to provide very good coverage, but you won't be able to access it through another provider. So if you were to go with Frontier, you're not going to be able to use Frontier's internet to be able to get our television service. It has to go through our network.
Okay, but we don't have to pay extra for your.
You do not pay extra for that. In the yellow in the back. And then I'm looking this way, I apologize. Anybody else have questions over here? We'll get to you.
Okay, this is, my wife's gonna kick my butt. But, through the GRF, we are paying $33.68 cable TV charge. We are paying $15.99 for the set-top box directly to Spectrum. Everybody forgets that set-top box fee, plus the electricity. Our internet in our household is through Frontier. It's bundled with our landline. It's 5852. The speed is 50/50. The reason I'm telling you all of this is not so that you can hammer me about how stupid we are. It's to suggest that you make yourself a little chart and write down what you are paying right now so that you know just what a good deal this is. Thank you.
No, thank you. And I didn't pay him.
And one thing to note, so he mentioned 50 by 50. Our internet that we're bringing in starts at 100 by 100 for less than half the price than what he just quoted up.
And they can go all the way to a gig, so which is essentially 1,000 meg by 1,000 meg. So let me, I want to make just one other comment. Again, I apologize if it's too techy. But remember on the internet from the cable company, they only ever show you one number. They only ever show you if you have 100 meg or 200 meg, but that's downstream. Internet is bidirectional, right? So internet coming down has a speed, internet going up has a speed. So the problem with the technology that the cable companies have been deploying over a long period of time is that it's what we call asynchronous, which means it's not the same bandwidth up and down. And so they have limited channels for upstream and maximum of 30 meg per subscriber. So if you have folks using FaceTime, Zoom calls, if you start seeing issues with that, it's because they say 100 meg, but what they don't tell you is that the upstream may be 15 meg. And that's a challenge for anybody that's using the internet, because the upstream bandwidth is really important now. So when you see everything we're talking about, it's 100 by 100, it's 500 by 500, it's 1 gig by 1 gig. So that means you have synchronous bandwidth. What comes down, you have the same bandwidth going up, and it's a managed service, and that's a dedicated service per individual resident. So that's a main differential between a cable modem service versus what we're doing as a managed service.
I have 2 TVs, so I'll have 2 boxes. So will I get 200 hours of DVR time, 100 hours for each box, or am I limited to the 100 hours?
So it's a 100 per license. So, and you don't have, so, but here's the thing, is whatever you've recorded will be available on any device that you have. Your phone, your iPad, either TV. Again, there's, DVR was, so we use TiVo, so we have an exclusive partnership with TiVo. And so TiVo created DVR 20 years ago, but that was when they had hard drives in the box. Now it's all in the cloud. So when you record something, we strictly are just putting a number to that, and it's recorded in the cloud, and the only thing that's really being stored is that you save that identifier number, so when you go back to hit play, it's gonna play that content that's stored in the cloud on your TV.
Regardless of which TV it was recorded on.
And that doesn't matter if you have your Apple TV box, or if you have your Amazon Fire Stick, or you have your brand new Sony Bravia with Android TV installed. or you have, you know, your Roku TV where we have our managed set-top box. It doesn't matter. The endpoint device is not. The point is that the service we provide will look the same regardless of the endpoint hardware that's being used to play the content.
Okay.
We had a question right here.
Yeah, hey, thanks for being here this afternoon. The old way you had the cable line coming in and now you're wireless.
Yes.
If you have some smart features within the home or maybe even a mesh router system or maybe smart lighting that requires a hub that I believe needs to have a wire connected to that hub, how will this work with your system since you don't have a cable coming in?
So we can provide an Ethernet bridge into the unit using the existing, say, coax, or we can even use the twisted pair, or we can run a new piece of Cat6 into the unit. Regardless, if you have those devices, if they don't operate on Wi-Fi, we can provide a wired connection so that they can work. One of the benefits of what we do on internet is that you can use that passphrase and connect any of those devices. And if you need to, if it doesn't have the ability to enter those, you can contact us and we can authenticate that device for you onto the network. So one of the things we're really excited about is what this gentleman just said is what we call the Internet of Things. And so the Internet of Things could be circadian lighting. It could be your Sonos speaker that's wireless. It could be you know, a Nest thermostat. It could be, you know, any one of these devices. We really believe that the number of devices that are being entered into these homes and whether, you know, everybody in this room is really, you know, geeked out on the Internet of Things, we know the next generation will be. So a big part of what we're doing is to make that available so that the congestion, because when you start talking about all those devices, that's where we come in, is to make sure that they all work. And it's really difficult when you have the proximity to your units. You have overlapping coverage from whether it's Spectrum or Frontier or anybody else, so it creates wireless interference. And that's going to be it may not be a huge factor today, but I can tell you in multifamily, where we're doing apartment buildings now with millennials, we have millennials, like I said, have 30 connected devices per unit for those type of things. But now for water's been a big deal. We've been in enough meetings where everybody's, you know, complaining about the water shortage. You know, if you have a toilet that doesn't work, I mean, you could flush down 30,000 gallons of water. So we're seeing buildings put water sensors on the toilet so that when, you know, so that they're connected, and if something happens and they see the water flow, they can go in and connect those, and you get tax abatements and you get discounts from the city when you start putting those type of things in. So in apartment units, we're layering in things like CO2 detection systems. We're doing noise detection for certain buildings. We're putting in water. Energy management becomes an issue as well for those folks. So these are all the things that are going to start happening. And if you don't have a community-wide internet platform, it becomes nearly impossible to add all of those things because you don't have it built. You'd have to go to every resident, get the name of their wireless access point, their password, and then manage it. And it's impossible for a vendor to come in and layer in an energy management system if you don't have the ability to layer those things on and separate that traffic. So I know that was getting a little in the weeds, but it's a great question, and it's one that, you know, that's a lot of why we're here, is because of the complexity of networks and the complexity of connecting devices. Yes, did I answer your question?
Yeah, I appreciate the reply. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in ease of operation. Like, does your remote have a red record button on it? Does it have a keypad so that you can put in the what you call it?
So yes. So this is the remote, and you know, I guess we may want to. I don't know if we take a break, but I want to make sure everybody gets their questions answered. So here we can turn on and off the TV. But there's a little, you probably can't see it, but there's a little white button at the top. You see that? That's called My TV. So if I go back to, so some of you have a streaming device, hopefully.
You're on this one.
Oh, I'm here. So if we go here, you'll see that there's a lot of apps. So you'll see Prime, YouTube, Disney. Those are all your applications. So this is like what somebody might have with Apple TV or other. When I go into live TV, I could be in here, let's say I get lost because there's all of this other stuff. I just hit my TV, and it's right back to the television. Right, so anytime you get lost, this is the get out of jail free button.
Does it have a red record button also?
It has a red record button, so if I hit the red record button, that goes into your recordings.
Yeah. I don't know who my daughter has, but it's the worst. And if we record something once, it keeps recording it all the time, and we can't figure out how to get it to it to make it stop doing it. Hers is awful.
Yep.
And she has no keypad, she has no record button, it's awful.
So this is your recordings, but again, now I want to go back to the main, I go back to my TV, right? But you'll see also there's a menu on the bottom, and anytime you hit the back button, you'll be able to go to home. So in home, we have roughly just under 200,000 hours of video on demand content. So it's almost, almost a mini Netflix, if you will. Yes, sir.
Is that backlit?
This is not backlit, unfortunately. And that's a Google limitation. So we're working on that. We're also working on a new remote with them. That'll be what we call the bigger buttons for those of us, yeah. Okay, we'll call it fat fingered, all right? How about that? But again, I go back to here. So now if I want, I can go to guide, but you can see guide, I can just cursor over to guide and go to guide. And now you're going to see the programming guide. Somebody asked how easy it is to record something. So just go into the future and press the button. Well, I can't record, so some channels won't allow you to, like Fox. So let me get to a different channel here. Hold on a second.
We can't see from this side, so if you describe what's on the screen.
Yep. So I have a grid. It is the programming guide. So I'm just going to go, I'm moving to the right, choosing a channel. And then this is already, I guess this has already been recorded. You can see the little red button. So I found one that I'd already managed to hit the recordings on. But that's really all you do is you go into the guide and you press the button, and when you do, it's going to tell you what you can do with it, if you can manage that and record it or not. So let me just go down to, I'm going to go over a little bit, and I'm going to hit that one this time. Okay, I'm sitting the header. You see the record button? You can hit the record. But then there's also that have series info. And so if there's certain channels that also have a series attached to it, so we all like to binge watch. If you go over to the series information, it'll pull up all the series, and then you can go back to whichever episode you want to watch, which is pretty good. Yes, a quick question, and I'll answer that
I
one.
have another question when you're talking about this, the
Yep.
series one. Sometimes it repeats the program twice in a day, and on mine you can tell it not to record, just record the original ones, not the other ones. Does yours do that too, or do you end up having doubles of everything?
It's not doubles, but it'll actually tell you what is available with Catch-Up TV. So the other thing I haven't told you is that we have 72 hours of Catch-Up TV. So some of you probably have never even heard what that is. So Catch-Up TV means that anything that's played in the past, we record the last 3 days of every channel that we have licensing for. So, so if I go back to the guide and I go, what normally you can't go back in time, and so I'm going to go back to today. Oh, I went too fast, sorry. I'm going to go back to the guide. So here I'm just going to go, I'm going to go down a little bit, and we're going to try to pick a channel. TNT's a good one. I'm going to go back and say replay or filter. Filters, if you want to filter, so you just want sports channels or you want other education, you can choose. But replay TV, or we call it catch-up TV, if I go back in time, this is going to take me to a menu where if you missed the Super Bowl yesterday and you want to go back and rewatch it, now you can go back a day earlier and you can see how fast that is. That's maybe not what I want to watch, but I'll just check that one, hit play, and that was from, I missed the time, but it was from sometime in the last 72 hours, and I hit play, and that's going to play that content. So that's one of the feature sets of this, is that if you missed something you wanted to watch, you're over at a neighbor's house and hey, something's going to start, you can go back in time and watch it, right? which is pretty cool. Sorry, we had a question over there, so as I'm going through this, I just want to go through the guide. One of the other things I'm going to show you on the guide is, see how fast it goes? I mean, it's incredibly fast, and it's very responsive, which I think is one of the great feature sets of the guide.
Punch in a number of numbers for 17.
You can. On the managed remote, there is a number, so I'm going to try to find a programming number here. See if that, you'll see the number on the bottom. Yeah, it's wrong, the channel number, but